And now, you're tuned into RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's Reveler Sports.
This is your RBLR Rays podcast. I'm your host, Zach Dobb, along with my co-host, Pat Davenport, coming to you live. Pat, how are we doing?
Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm back from my injury list stint. I spent 10 days on the IL, and then that was purely a precautionary move, so I was ready for opening day.
Yes.
I'm back on the roster, and I'm ready to go, so I'm excited to start this season, and I can't believe it. It was a miracle on Tropicana Drive. Despite the season being over after game one, everything was over. We were eliminated from postseason contention after one game. We've somehow, some way, brought it back to 500. I don't know how we did it.
I don't know.
The next 160 games, turns out, we've got stuff to play for. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Baseball is back. Like that's all I ever need. Like we get to the end of a day of whether it's a day of work or whatever, and you get to the end of the day and there's a baseball game waiting for you. That's like that. That's the good life. So I'm ecstatic. I am really excited for this season, and it's baseball's back. I don't really have much more to say. Baseball's back, and we are breaking down the first two games of the season and previewing the week to come. We've got thoughts on the earliest storylines of the season, the way the roster broke out with some very unexpected stuff, which is going to be fun to talk about. And with the regular season returning, so does our bat and arm of the week, and maybe a little bit more. If you're watching us on YouTube, you're watching us live, thank you. Do us a favor and subscribe. Hit the like button while you're down there. It means a lot, helps us out. And if you're on Spotify, follow us, drop rating and all that good stuff. And hey, if you're following us, this is what you get. This is the benefit. You get to see this live right now. You get to see what's going on live as it is happening. So I've been talking about all off season, all the good reasons to follow us, to like us. This is why we go live sometimes. You never know. Maybe we'll announce it, maybe we won't, and it'll be live. And if you're here, you're here. So we appreciate you if you are, and if you're not, then you'll be here later, and we appreciate you then too. So as we get into the beginning of this season, we had a little bit of unexpectedness in the roster, kind of right at the end there. The first big surprise was Ben Rortvedt in. Alex Jackson starting in AAA, really unexpected. Were you 100% surprised by Rortvedt joining the team, or did you have any thoughts that maybe a move like this could be made?
No. All indications to me were that we were going to open the season with Rene Pinto as catcher numero uno, and then Alex Jackson was going to be the backup. That seemed all the indications. We got to the end of spring training, and that was what we were all expecting to happen. But then, all of a sudden, in case you missed it, a 3-team trade broke in the day between spring training ending and opening day beginning. A 3-team trade with the Marlins and Yankees. There were lots of moving parts. John Berti went from Miami to New York. But for the Rays end, we traded outfield prospect Shane Sasaki and got Yankees catcher Ben Rortvedt. And he's known for being a good framer, a good defender, a good game caller, a very defensive-minded catcher. He bats left, which is useful considering the injuries to Lowe, Aranda, and other left-handed bats. And has a bit more major league experience than Pinto. And wow, what an impression he made yesterday.
I know, we thought, at least I thought, as soon as I saw that he was, going to be joining the team, I thought, okay, well, here's another left-handed bat. That's the big thing that he brings in addition to the good framing is the left-handed bat. And I was just sort of thinking, okay, all right, maybe he'll show up, do a couple nice things, work a couple decent at-bats. And he did all of that and more yesterday, dropping 100-plus mile-per-hour batted balls, really, really nice long at-bats, working walks. Really, really impressive stuff. I kind of just thought I was personally surprised that he was in the game starting that soon. Like, he started game 2. I really didn't see that one coming. So it really just goes to show you that the Rays are not only always thinking 2 steps ahead, but they're confident in their decisions. They aren't just making decisions to make them. Like, they have the confidence to make the decision and then to show you, yeah, this is why we made the decision. We're going to start him game 2. Oh, and he's going to be a big part of the rallies that scored runs that gave us the win.
Yeah, he's clearly got pop in the bat, and if he's going to be a really good option to have against right-handed pitchers, then all the better for that. And now I feel a lot more confident in our catcher depth coming into this season. I spoke all off season that it was a bit strange to me that Rene Pinto was the only catcher on the 40 man, and that we weren't really seeking more than Alex Jackson, but then midway through spring we picked up Francisco Mejia, who we then released, and then now we've got Rotvet. So suddenly, all of a sudden, we now have 2 catchers down in Durham that are really useful, and 2 in the major leagues that are also really useful, and I feel confident starting any particular game. So well done to the Rays. It's not uncommon of them to make moves right at the end of spring. I think that's when we got Isaac as well. They made a move like right near the end of spring.
Yeah, it's true.
So they're willing to make a move at any time. I also remember we made a move like 2 weeks into the season in 2018. We like traded Denard Span, who was like our only good player at the time, but we were like, no, we're trading him now after 2 weeks with the team, and that worked out as well. So the Rays are just always on the lookout for stuff. Never assume the Rays are now going to just sit back and wait till the deadline to address needs. They're a constantly active front office, and I love that about them.
Yeah, and I think they look at their lineup and they look at their roster and they say, how could we make this better? You know, they're not, you know, if they believe they have the in-house options to make their major league roster better, they're going to go that route. But if they look at their roster and they say, what do we need to improve? And they clearly looked at the roster and said, we need another left-hand bat. And they looked and they said, well, we have Alex Jackson. He's fine as a backup catcher. But why not, instead of putting him on the bench for because I guarantee you Alex Jackson is not starting game 2 if he is up with the major league club. That's not happening. So they thought and they said, instead of just doing that and letting him not get reps, let's leave him in AAA, let him get reps. Let's bring in a guy who has major league experience. He was Garrett Cole's personal catcher all of last season. So he's got the big game experience. He's caught high octane stuff pitchers. I mean, that's about as high octane as it gets when you talk about Garrett Cole, unfortunately. So he has that experience. Let's bring him in with the left-handed bat and say, let's improve our roster. And that's why whenever we look at the roster and we don't understand a move, we're going to talk about a move that I kind of don't get, but I'm just going to believe on them. I do believe in what they're doing, and I do trust them because they've given me reason to trust them throughout the history that I've been following this team. They are constantly making them the best move to improve the team. So whether or not I understand it in the moment, this one's pretty easy to understand. But no matter whether I understand a move in the moment or not, I tend to trust the front office because they're consistently shown to be making moves to make the roster better almost every single time.
Yeah, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I might actually be forgiving the Rays now for moving on from Christian Bethancourt and essentially replacing him with Ben Rotvet. So Rays, well done. You've done a good job. I know we shouldn't analyze a 1-game sample, but
I know
that was a pretty good 1 game right there. Another couple before the breaking news, I guess, that happened just before we went on the pod. I guess the other big roster decision that I want to talk about, and you can discuss too, by the way. Drop a comment in wherever you're watching this live, and if you have any questions for us, we can also maybe answer them on the show. Is that the rotation has been lined up in the way that we in some ways expected, in some ways did not. Obviously, we've just seen Eflin and Civale pitch games 1 and 2. We got Littell today, but then game 4 is going to be Tyler Alexander.
Yeah.
And Tyler Alexander is going to be starting game 4. Maybe Jacob Wagspack is going to get some innings in there as well. He's joined the bullpen as maybe a long relief option. And then game 5 is going to be Ryan Pepio. I thought he would be a game 4 guy, not a game 5 guy, but maybe that's just how the schedules have lined up.
Yeah, it's interesting. I said before the season I thought Jake Odorizzi was going to get that last spot, because even though I think that, if they move Pepio to the 5th spot, I still think as far as like the certainty level of the guys being on the roster, he's like number 4, just because I was very confident he was going to be there. Whereas the 5 spot was a little bit more up for grabs. I thought Odorizzi was going to get that spot, and it sounds like they're gonna leave him in AAA for a little bit and let him marinate down there, see if he can kind of build up and be ready to start. I don't know what that means for him going forward. If he's going to get more time, I think he will eventually, but we'll just kind of have to see what they decide to do with that there. But I think the going with Alexander Wagaspak is kind of a 1-2 punch. I have no problem with it at all. They both looked great in spring training. Wagaspak had some really nasty stuff. I mean, really, really nasty stuff. And Alexander looked excellent in extended. I think he pitched 6 innings in one of the spring training games. So he looks fantastic. No issues. So I have no problem with it. The thing that I think is surprising is letting go of Uwasawa. So that's what I didn't expect. I did not expect Uwasawa to get traded to Boston, to go over there. I'm a little annoyed that we traded him to Boston because one of the number one issues that the Red Sox have is rotation depth. But clearly, if the Rays don't feel like he's worth a spot, then maybe it's a good thing he's going to Boston, because they generally are going to find a way to keep you around if they feel like you're worth it. It is interesting, and I'm going to ask you this question: Do you feel any kind of weird way about the whole Uwasawa experiment, considering they just kind of let him go at the end of spring training?
Yeah, I actually do feel a bit of a weird way. It's a bit of like there's like a gap in the logic and the narrative, how it played out. There's like a gap in it for me that doesn't make sense to me. He turned down reportedly a guaranteed major league deal elsewhere to sign a minor league deal with the Rays. So already he could have been on a major league roster before signing with the Rays. He said, I'm fine signing a minor league deal with the Rays because I think they will help develop me as a pitcher. Now, that implies to me, and I could be reading that wrong, that implies to me that he's okay starting the season in AAA with a view to get better, because he will get better under the Rays development system in the minor leagues than immediately, let's say, for argument's sake, joining the Angels major league roster straight away, and then not doing so well, and Troy Percival going, well, why don't you just throw it hard or whatever? It's just
right.
So I was like, okay, cool, that makes sense. And then the Rays were like, hey, we think you've got some stuff to work on. We don't want you to start the season on the major league roster. Are you okay starting in AAA? He says, I've got an assignment clause in my contract. I'm going to exercise it. I want to go to a major league roster.
Right.
Why didn't you take the guaranteed major league money then?
Right.
Like, I thought you were in it for the development and the long-term success of your career by not being afraid to take a minor league deal and working some stuff out with the Rays development, which probably, let's be honest, would have taken more than a few weeks in spring training, when you're adjusting to a new league with a different baseball and much more advanced hitters. So I don't know. It's not making much sense to me. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, it's even weirder when you look at, and I was just curious, so I just looked it up. He's in the Florida Coast League right now. The Red Sox assigned him down to the Florida Coast League. So, like,
really?
It's just,
he's not even made the team?
He's not on the team. He's not on the Red Sox opening day roster. So it's just really weird. Like, it's just kind of like, why? I really do not get it. I didn't see any, I can't find any like money. Like, I don't see any money that's like significantly more than what the Rays were offering him. So it's just odd. I don't know if part of me wonders if this is agent ball a little bit, where the agent's like, hey, you're going to have a much better odds of starting games with the Red Sox because they have issues. And even if they start you in the minors, your path to the your path to the majors is a little bit more difficult than it would be with the Rays. But that's the only thing I can think, because like the Red Sox are not necessarily a factory of pitching by any means, not anywhere close to what the Rays are capable of. So it's just a little bit odd. It's just kind of like, I feel like there's another shoe somewhere that is like not dropped, and we don't know why. And we're just kind of staring at the shoe and like, what, like you're just hanging out up there, like what's going on? And I'm kind of waiting for it to like, so we can understand exactly what went on there. Maybe we never will, but it just like, I don't think the Rays did anything wrong. It just seems weird. Like, because I kind of expected them to send him to the minors and say, yeah, just go to the minors, hang out, like train. Like that was clearly their plan. But then it's almost like he like disagreed with it, even though that's kind of what he signed up for. It's weird. I don't get it.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. It's all a bit strange. It's all a bit strange. I wish Uwasawa all the best, except when he's pitching against the Rays. The Rays way have just dropped a nice comment for us, saying definitely feels like there's a detail or two that hasn't been shared with us.
I
Right?
agree.
I don't know if there's been a falling out or a miscommunication, or we've not been told something or the media haven't learned something.
That's how it
I
feels.
don't know. Yeah. So Uwasawa, not with the team, but that's okay because we've still got tons of depth down in AAA. We got the likes of Odorizzi waiting in the rings, Erasmo if we really need him. I mean,
Right.
we don't want him to pitch a ton of innings, but he's there as a mop-up guy if needs be. So yeah, that's the rotation. And then the final bit of news, which dropped just before we started recording, is that the Rays have signed a minor league deal for first baseman, DH, outfielder Dominic Smith.
Yeah, that one I really did not see coming. But when you look at it, and all you really have to do is look at his baseball reference page and see bats left, throws left, and you're like, oh, I get it. It makes total sense. It's clear that they understand that that the team is a little shifted towards the right when it comes to the handedness of the batters, and they want to have options for left-handers. The thing that I think is, it does make me wonder a little bit, and I'll ask you this question: do you feel like that this addition is saying something about the long-term readiness of Jonathan Aranda?
Yes, because they have very similar position profiles in terms of not great anywhere, but can play first base if needs be. Dom Smith has a bit of corner outfield experience as well. Both lefty batters. Yeah, they're very similar in terms of that kind of profile. And I don't think if they expected Aranda to be back in the next week or so, or two, then they wouldn't go get him. But they saw an opportunity. I mean, Dom Smith has some upside. He did it at the major league level in 2019 and 2020, especially in 2020. He had a 166 WRC plus. You got MVP
votes that year.
Yeah, right. So he's got stuff in him. The one thing is walk rate isn't quite as high as you'd maybe want a guy of his kind of big power lefty bat profile to have.
Yeah.
His strikeout percentage is kind of major league average lately, but he's not really been putting it together since 2020. It's all gone a bit wrong, but you never know.
Yeah.
He's always there as an option. You never know when a guy like that could put it all back together, and then he'd be, a scary left-handed bat. And the potential is there. He's showing that he can do it. So it's nice to just have. I think the Rays were definitely on the lookout for all the left-handed bats that were kind of cut from rosters at the end of camp, just scouring through the names. I remember in our RBLR group chat, we were all talking about, the likes of Jake Cave and Sam Hilliard and, those kind of lefty bat profiles that can maybe play some corner out. Meadows. Yeah. So, and Dom Smith was their guy. And in Eric Yandy, we trust, I suppose, if he was the option that fits best.
Yeah, I agree. And, it's when you look at his profile defensively, he has a positive UZR at pretty much only first base, outfield, not great. But again, you look at a guy that has done it on the major league level. We always love to see that. The thing that I was kind of the first thing I looked at was he just an absolute righty killer? Not exactly. He's got like a 104 OPS plus against right-handers. He's just kind of fine against right-handers, and he's just kind of fine against lefties too. He's almost like platoon neutral, but like not in a great. He's just kind of like fine against both. So he's just kind of fine. He's just fine. And honestly, if you are looking for a guy to like replace a starter, whether it's an injury or they just need a couple games off their feet, like just fine is like all you need. So I think it's a great move just to have a little extra depth at AAA, to have a guy who's available if you need him at the major league level, to get to take some left-hand at bats. I think it's a great move.
Yeah, and you know what? He actually started to put it together a little bit at the back end of last year with the Nationals. Yeah. He had an above league average ex-WOBA pretty much all of September last year. So like, he was starting to put stuff together with the Nats at the end. He hit 254 with 12 home runs. Like, okay. All right. If that's a guy you have in AAA, that's like decent depth right there. So, good for you, Dom Smith. We're happy to have you. Welcome to the Rays.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you are just joining us for the first time, we want to say welcome to the RBLR Rays podcast. And you know what you should do when you're here for the first time? You should like and subscribe, because that's how you're going to know the next time we go live, the next time we post the pod. You want to know that stuff. So like and subscribe. At least we hope you do, because I think we're doing a pretty good show. If you disagree with that, leave us a comment, and
Yeah.
maybe we'll make some adjustments, or maybe not. Who knows? Some people who need to make adjustments is people who freaked out after game one. And we're going to talk about game one because we have to, because it happened. It's unfortunate because it felt like to me that the season started yesterday, but I guess it actually started the day before, which is kind of unfortunate.
The season started and ended after game one.
Indeed it did. Game one, not great. Lost 8-2. Eflin was absolutely rolling until he rolled off a cliff and gave up 6 earned runs. The question that I had kind of watching it, I'll ask you, do you think that Cash left him out there too long?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, but like the only time you could ever answer confidently about like, did he take him out too early? Did he leave him out in too long? Is after it all happens.
Right.
So you've just got to like, I mean, he was great through the first 5. There was no reason for him not to start the 6, but things started to unravel pretty quickly. And it even took them a little bit of time into the 6 for them to start warming up Armstrong, which I guess was a bit surprising. I guess that's showing faith and confidence because Zach Eflin did it last year, being like, hey, he'll get you out of he'll get out of his own situations. But yeah, they took a while to call on the pen, which left Eflin in there a long time, and then he gave up 5 runs in that 6. The thing that really was uncharacteristic of the Rays, I think, was 7 walks in opening day. That was the thing that would drive anyone nuts. If you get barreled up, that's one thing. But if you kill yourself and give up all these walks and hit by pitches, that's the thing that'll drive anyone nuts, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of the opposite of the Rays' MO. They pride themselves on throwing strikes and getting pitches in the zone, and that's kind of what they preach to all their pitchers. So to see them do the opposite of that. Now, to be fair, the walk numbers were kind of inflated because it was pretty obvious if you're watching. Clevenger just did not have command of the zone. He was struggling. He was leaving his body open. He was clearly like dealing with something, whether it was just got off on the wrong foot, just didn't have his mechanics quite right. So he walked a bunch, got out of the inning, but walked a bunch of guys, and walked the first 3 batters he faced, I think. Yeah. So clearly just did, one of them was like a 4-pitch walk. So like clearly he does not have it. And that happens, but it is definitely uncharacteristic. And I think when you go back and you think about them leaving Eflin in, the context for that is he started, he averaged 5.73 innings last year, and in 18 of his 31 starts he went longer than 6 innings. So I don't think it's unreasonable for them to assume that he was fine to go 6. And again, it does make you wonder if just they didn't have Armstrong ready. They didn't feel like it was worth it to like throw Armstrong in before he had a chance to warm up. Maybe, I don't know. It's one baseball game. It doesn't really matter that much. And at the same time, Eflin is kind of the guy of this rotation right now. And generally speaking, I'm going to lean on the side of, let the guy pitch out of it. See if he can pitch his way out of it. Because most of the time, Eflin has done that in his Rays career. So, I mean, he didn't do it this time, but that doesn't mean that I don't think he should have been given the chance to pitch his way out of it.
Yo, I agree. I think with your opening day starter, if you don't trust your opening day starter to pitch out of a jam, then who do you trust, right? So I think it's fine. I think it goes against conventional wisdom in early season games to let starters go longer rather than shorter, particularly the Rays. But an interesting article came out in the Tampa Bay Times just today, where Topkin reported that the Rays plan to let their starters go like full starts, like no early pulling in April this year, and instead of like a slow build up, which I think is a really interesting approach. Apparently this is in an attempt to try and keep their pitchers more healthy, because the slow build up has not been working the past couple of seasons. Like pitchers have been getting injured anyway, despite getting pulled earlier.
Yeah.
So they're like, well, why don't we just get them used to 6 up and downs straight away, see what happens. So, I guess we'll see. Got to try something to limit pitcher injuries because, like, whatever the Rays have been doing so far, it's not worked. So anything that can help, and a new approach can't hurt. I guess it did yesterday, but I think they're right to try and trust in their guy, and I think eventually that will yield results, especially later in the season when the pen will hopefully be less taxed because of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, like they clearly are holding to that because they let Civale go 6 innings the next day. So it's that's kind of seems to be what, like, not only are we talking about them doing it, that's the evidence that we've seen so far. So I mean, I really don't have any issues with it at all. It is one baseball game of 162. I think we need to remind people. So I'm really not worried about it at all. The offense, when you look at the other side of the ball, because yeah, we gave up 8, but we've seen this team score 8. Just a little preview. So what happened there? And it was the Yandy Diaz show and kind of nobody else. And that's kind of the issue. I mean, Yandy was fantastic. Leadoff home run to start the season. Super awesome. He was a triple shy of the cycle. The odds of Yandy hitting a triple are not great, but you never knew. I was still rooting for it, even though I knew it wasn't going to happen. The issue really was the 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position and the 6 guys left on base. The Blue Jays did not have that many more guys on base than the Rays did. The Blue Jays just capitalized.
Yeah, that's it. That's how baseball games always work, isn't it? It's always about how well you sequence your hits and how well you do with the runners on. Rays did not do well. Lots of strikeouts as well. Lots of like unproductive outs as well, which is, you know, a symptom of the game sometimes. It just sometimes is like that in a 1-game sample. But I wasn't completely annoyed with their approach at the plate. It just wasn't really happening with them that day. And to be honest, this is like my philosophy to try and cope with any loss. I go, okay, every baseball team has 50 guaranteed wins. Every baseball team has 50 guaranteed losses, and then the rest is kind of like the games that are up for grabs.
Right.
This felt like one of the guaranteed losses. Like this was like we're not here today. We're going to lose this one. And I was like, that's fine. This is one of the 50 that we're just going to lose. It's the close ones that I'll feel more upset about because they'll be an up for grabs one. But, you know, get the stinker out the way. Can't wait to go 13-1.
Yep, and they were well on the way going the other way in the next game after some people had canceled the season, but it turns out the Rays did not cancel theirs because they came out and won the next game 8-2. Civale had a fantastic start, leading into very, very conveniently leading into our narrative that he's going to have a bounce back season this year and pitch really well for the Rays. He goes out and does exactly that. 4 hits allowed, 1 earned run allowed, only 1 walk, which we love, and 6 strikeouts, the only blemish on a solo shot given up to George Springer, who I now hate because he's hit home runs in back-to-back days, which is awesome. The other really cool thing about Rays pitching that I wanted to mention is 1 walk allowed. When you don't give people free passes, things go well. It's a crazy concept. I feel like the Rays have been preaching it for a while now, and it's just crazy. When you don't let them on base for free, it's hard to score runs. Just a crazy concept, right?
Yeah, exactly. I want to give a shout out to Rotvet as well because he was getting a lot of pitches on the edges to be called
first
strikes.
Inning.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I was like, woo, okay. So that helped. And Civale was really dialed in with his location for the most part. Yes. He had that 1 hanger to Springer. And then, you know, Davinsky and Adam also made sure to stay away from the free pass, which is, you just love to see it. So, pitching was really good, and then up and down the lineup, I was really, really impressed. Yandy was continuing to be good. He got that big 2 RBI single. Brandon Lau hit a grand slam. I don't know if anybody's talked about that bit yet, but
I don't think so. I think when I look at my offensive notes, there's just a whole line that just goes bark, 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 bark. I don't know what that's about, but anyway, continue.
Yeah, Randy picked up a couple of hits as well, which is good because I think he can have a tendency to start a little slow. Everyone was a bit concerned about him coming out slow in spring, but he picked up 2 hits. Siri looked good. He looked good in both games, I want to say. Which we'll talk about in a minute. Rotvet had, 3 excellent at-bats.
Yes.
And even the one that he didn't get on base with, he still hit a laser to center. And then Caballeros picked up a hit in both games. It's up and down. I think the only people that have, really struggled to start have been Paredes and Ramirez, but it's a 2-game sample. Like, no alarm bells to ring yet.
The bottom of the lineup went 5 for 10 with let's see, additionally a walk, an RBI, just a fan like
play.
that'll play any day of the week. And I do want to talk about Siri because I have a theory about I didn't even mean that Siri theory. I have a Siri theory.
The Siri
that theory. He is changing his approach just a little bit in this new season, and the reason for that is if you look at his hit on the first game that he's in, his hit yesterday. What he did, I think, is a really cool thing, and I'm hoping he continues it. He swings hard in the beginning of the at bats. He got to 2 strikes in both at bats where he had a hit, and on that third strike pitch, whether it was a full count, I believe, in the second at bat, and it was an 0-2 count in the first at bat that he had hits. He just kind of flared it out there and got it in play. And then what does he do? In game 1, he steals a base, and in game 2, he steals second and third. So, and in that second in that second game, you could see he was in the pitcher's head the entire time. He used his 2 throwbacks to second, to pick off to second, which how often are you picking a guy off at second, especially with series speed? So he is in the pitcher's head. He is, that is what I want to see from him. We talked about it in his player review. If there is anything that he could do that would get him to the next level, it is to change the one weird stat that we saw on his statistics: 12 stolen bases.
Yeah, 99 percentile sprint speed, 12 stolen
bases. And now, like, just he's leading MLB in steals right now. I know it's only 2 games, but he's leading MLB in steals. He has eclipsed 25% of his stolen bases for all of last year, 2 games in. If he, like, I want him to swing for the fences on strike 1 and strike 2. Try to absolutely hit the cover off the baseball. But strike 3, just put the ball in play. Get yourself on base. You are so fast, Jose Siri. You are so fast. Everybody knows it. You know it. Just get on base. See, Pam agrees. Pam just wanted to come and say she agreed too. That is the ticket to kind of like the next level of the Jose Siri experience to me.
Yeah, 100%. And what apart from when he inexplicably dropped a fly ball in the center field yesterday. Apart from that, I've been really enjoying what he's been bringing, and if he can continue to be a menace on the base paths, that's going to be really exciting. I think the lineup top to bottom could be a menace on the base paths. Apart from like Yandy and Isaac, I think everyone else could like run. I guess the catchers can't run as well, but like Harold can run, Randy can run, Ahmed Rosario can run, Cabby can run. Obviously Siri, Palacios could probably run given the opportunity.
A little bit.
He ran on that great catch yesterday. Covered a lot of ground. I really like that, by the way. A moment that got lost in the greatness was Palacios's catch in foul line yesterday. So yeah, I mean, super exciting. And everyone was just grinding at bats. That was the thing I noticed yesterday. Mm-hmm. Everyone was just making people work all the time, no free outs, just going and going and going. And if we can hold that kind of level of discipline, we're going to be a disgusting lineup to face that pitchers are going to like lose sleep over before they come. Because even if they don't give up many hits or runs or whatever, they're just going to have such a headache with the guys like Caballero and Paredes and Palacios and Rotvet grinding out at bat after at bat, making them work so hard so that they can't go as deep into games. That's going to be a headache for the AL East and the American League all season long if we can keep doing that.
Yep, I agree. And if you're out there watching us live or on the recording and you look at your wardrobe and you got a headache because you're just like, man, I don't know what to do here. There's no good options. I got no like frontline options. I got no bench options for my wardrobe. What do? I'll tell you what you do. You go to shop.rblrsports.com where you can get 10% off everything there with promo code FLAPPY, FLAPPY. We've got Rowdies, we've got Bucks, we've got Lightning, we've got Rays. Everything you could possibly want for Tampa Bay sports is there at shop.rblrsports.com.
You'll have an outfit more flashy than the brand new Pyro at Tropicana Field. Oh my gosh, did we see that?
I know. I love that. I'm so sad that I am like not anywhere close to the Trop because it seems like the atmosphere was just pumping for those first 2 games. And I hope it continues to go that way for the rest of this series as we are going into these last 2 games with Toronto. Today, in not very long, we're going to be playing the Jays once again. Yusei Kikuchi will be starting against Zach Littell. A very interesting matchup. I like I think the Rays have the advantage in the pitching. Kikuchi is kind of been hit and miss for the Jays. He kind of got better towards the end of last season. I think
He's been good against us. He
has been good against us. You're right about that. So it'll be interesting to see if the Rays can shake that. I love, if you look at the lineup, you have 3 guys in the lineup for the Rays that have 90th percentile speed or above, with Siri, Caballero, and Ahmed Rosario. So I think and they're all in the bottom half of the lineup. I think it's very clear what the Rays are doing. They're saying you got to get through Yandy, Harold, Randy, Paredes, and then when you get to the bottom half, we're just going to kind of get on base and run on you. And that's what we're going to do to you. So they've clearly got power at the top. They got speed at the bottom. Mead's in there too, kind of a sneaky guy right at the bottom of the lineup. Pinto is also down there. Really, really good lineup. I think they're
all
clearly
right-handed.
Yep. So they're really stacking it up against Kikuchi, who is a left-handed pitcher. So it's very clear what they're trying to do here. I love the lineup. I always love Kevin Cash's lineups, but I especially love having all that speed in the back half of the lineup, so that even if you're not getting, even if you don't have a whole lot of power there, which a lot of those guys do have power, especially Pinto's got a little bit of it, and Siri's got some of it too. You've also got so much speed that if you just get on base, then you're going to be doing really good things. So I'm excited to see what the Rays lineup does in the game today.
I love it when the Rays do a gimmick lineup, and this is a gimmick lineup. It's just like, he has all the right-handed players on the roster at once.
Yes.
Harold batting 2, which is
Right.
an interesting call. Mead's making his season debut, which is very exciting as well.
I know, very excited.
Ahmed Rosario getting his first start of the year as a Ray. Meanwhile, the Blue Jays, they're kind of running back their usual lineup. The only real change is that Dan Vogelbach's getting the start over Justin Turner at DH.
Yep.
And gosh, I've not seen this guy before, but Brian Servan is getting the start at catcher over Kirk. So apart from that, it's pretty. And Clement is going to play third base as well. So they're bringing in a few of their bench guys as well for this one. I think we do have the advantage. It'd be nice if we can get to Kikuchi.
Yes.
I like Littell a lot. I can't believe what he did last year. I'm excited to see a full season of Littell as a starter.
Right?
Who'd have thought? Not me. So very, very exciting. And then, of course, we've got the Alexander game tomorrow before going to host the world champions, Texas Rangers, with a chance for revenge for the wild card series. Ryan Pepiot will make his debut in that one.
Yeah, and I think Pepiot is definitely a guy to watch as we go into the Texas Rangers series. He looked outstanding in his last spring training start. Really, really, really nice. I think he had 8 strikeouts, 6 innings pitched. Beautiful stuff. If there is a test out there that is harder than the Texas Rangers coming off a World Series, I don't know of it. So talk about bright lights. First start at home, 6:50 game Monday night. If it's not Monday Night Baseball, it should be, and if it isn't, that's a shame, because that's a blockbuster game right there. That'll be a fun one. But it's a big test for Pepiot. But I'm really excited to see how he steps up to that challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Pepiot was close to the leaders in Stuff Plus.
He was
starters in spring training.
Yeah.
So we're like, we got rid of Tyler Glasnow and his really big fastball and massive drop on his curve. It's okay. We've just got the new Stuff Plus guy. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't be fooled by his fastball not being quite as fast. Pepiot's got the stuff, and he's going to use it.
It's going to be really fun to watch. I will say, I think he's going to do really well. Let's as a fandom, all of us here that are here on the Best Race Show, let's all agree to not lose our minds if the World Series champion Texas Rangers lineup gets to him just a little bit, which is possible. So let's just calm down if that does happen. But I do think he has a chance to go out there and put together a really good outing, because he's shown the stuff. He's shown good command in his last couple starts. I have every expectation he's going to go out there and pitch a really good game.
Yeah, me too. But as I tweeted after the opening day loss, baseball is famously analyzable after one game. One game is all you need to make a judgment on the team as a whole and the season as a whole. So if things go wrong, I'm sure you won't look silly if you make a judgment based off 5 innings of work. I'm sure that will not be something you come to regret later.
No, not at all. You got any other thoughts on the Jays series before we move on?
I hope we win it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
If we can take the next 2 games and win the series to start, that would be really big, especially against a divisional opponent. My baseball hot take is that loads of people say, April doesn't matter. I'm like, actually, April does matter, because a win in April actually counts the same as a win in September. You just have less context for how much it does matter. If the Rays, went 500 instead of 13-1 to start the season, we would have not made the playoffs. No, we still would have made the playoffs, but we would have been like the 6th seed. So it's
but
good
there's
that
a
we
world
started
in which you
13-0.
couldn't.
Yeah.
And if you lose those games early, it does change the context behind those games later in the year. Where it's one thing if you're playing those games and you're already locked into the postseason. It's another context if you're just trying to make the postseason. People get tight. People get nervous. Outcomes could change based on the way people are feeling. So there is nothing wrong with stacking up wins early in the year. And again, it's not, the Blue Jays do not suck. They're not terrible as much as I ragged on them to start the year in the preview of the team. But is there a team we should beat at home? We talk about, what do you want to do at home? You want to win at least 60% of your games or more. You'd like to win most of your series at home. You're going to lose a couple. You want to beat your division rivals at home as much as you can, because when you go to Toronto, you're probably going to lose a series or two. So if you can, it's hard to win a 4-game series. It's just hard. It's tough starting the year on a 4-game series. So it's kind of tough. You like a 3-game series where you win 2 and you're done. You win 2 in this, you got to win another one to win the series. So 4-game series are tough, but I like the pitching matchups because we don't even know who the Toronto starter in the 4th game is going to be. They haven't announced it yet.
Manoah?
They haven't announced it yet.
Maybe
we don't know. They got a couple young guys that maybe they're going to give a shot to. We'll see. But I have confidence in the guys the Rays are throwing out there. So I feel pretty confident they're going to win this series, even though it's going to be tough. And I said I would stop making predictions, so I didn't say that. This is live, so this is going to stay it live. But we can all agree once again to just pretend I didn't say that. It's going to be a good series.
Yeah, I mean, if we split it, I'll also be fine with that, as long as we don't drop the next 2 games. That I'll be a bit upset. But that's just purely emotional. The great thing about April is, while April wins and losses do actually matter, the good thing is the time to recover from them is much greater in April. So let's try and win. I'll be upset if we drop the next 2, but we've got time. We got plenty of time. We got the Rangers, which will be tough, but then next week we got the Coors Field opening game, the first game in Coors of 2024.
Yeah. So some people who have not made us upset so far this season have been our bat and arm of the week. And we're returning to that once again. It's one of my favorite segments we do on the show. And we talk about the really, really cool guys. For last year, we're going to do a combined RBL arm and RBL lat of the week. So who is your RBL arm of the week?
My RBL arm was, I tried to tell you all in the off season, Aaron Civale, he's back. And I told you he was going to be good, and he was good yesterday. He pitched 6 innings, 1 earned run, quality start, picked up the first dub of the year for the Rays, and you couldn't ask anything more for a first start of the year, shutting down the Blue Jays offense that was rolling from opening day and completely shut him down, apart from one lone mistake to George Springer. But even then, he didn't let it rattle him, and he delivered the quality start and was the immediate stopper to start the season. Do you agree with big Aaron Civale?
100%. It's what we talked about it. I've mentioned it several times in the offseason. The numbers, like fielding independent pitching, were clearly showing that he was pitching well. His BABIP was way out of whack. We are now seeing the reverting to the mean of that, which is he's really, really good, guys. He's got excellent stuff. He will strike you out. And he has the ability to now go later in games, which is something that we were talking about a little bit last year. He was only going 5-ish innings. He went 6 innings. So that's a really, really good thing to start. That's, I think, the coolest thing about his start to me is he's showing already that he's able to go deeper into games. I love starters that go deep into games. It just sets the rest of the game up so well when your starter gives you 6. He did that. He struck guys out. It was a great start.
Absolutely. I'm telling you, he's going to be maybe our best starter this year. I'm telling you, I was saying this since the offseason.
That's a hot take.
I've been saying it. I've been saying it since December. So you just remember, you heard it here first, people. You heard it here first. Meanwhile, our BLR,
RBLR,
I'll be a lot. Our bat of the week. Zach, who is our bat of the week?
Yeah, when I think a dog got into my computer again because when I look at the bat of the week thing in my notes, it just says bark, 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 bark again. I'm gonna guess that is Brandon Lau, the guy who hit a grand slam, who I said is going to hit 50 bombs and have a 150 WRC plus and 100 RBIs this year. It should not surprise any of you that he's my guy. He's going to be my guy. If there are no Brandon Lau fans left on the earth, then I have left this earth. Brandon Lau is the man. The revenge tour has started. I mean, that was just gone off the bat. We were talking about it in the group chat. He just kind of looks like annoyed whenever he hits a home run. Just like, man, they really threw that pitch to me. And I mean, he 444 feet, 111 off the bat. I mean, that ball was destroyed. Picked up another hit as well in the game. Phenomenal game to start the season. He's 3 for 8 to start the season, with a 249 WRC plus, 0.2 F4. Also tied for the MLB lead in RBI with 4. So love to see that
with Yandy, I think.
Yes.
So he's doing great, and like that was like the swing moment of the game, right?
Yes.
That was like the big, like if we got the win probability graph up on Civale.
Oh yeah.
Do you want, like, you can see the moment when Brandon Lau hit the home run. So coming into the bottom of the third, the Blue Jays had a 53% win probability, and then by the time Brandon Lau hit the grand slam, it was 85% win probability. So
love it.
That was like that was the moment right there that set everything up.
And I've said it for a long time. Brandon Lau, there is the narrative out there that he is not clutch. I think this is the year that we see that narrative forever gone away with. The stat was thrown up on the broadcast. He is tied for second with the most grand slams in Rays history. So, like, let's just get rid of all the nonsense that he is not clutch and he does not have it in him. He does have that dog in him, and we're going to see it let all the way out this season.
Yeah, and he was asked on MLB Network after the game, like, hey, has anything changed in your approach? He was like, no, I just don't feel sore. Like, he was like, my back doesn't hurt. And I'm like, oh, so it turns out he was literally just playing with the weighted Dragon Ball Z weighted clothing on. And he was like, yes, now that I'm healthy, I'm going again. He also said he hit it so clean that he didn't even feel it, which is like, you know, that if we're playing MLB The Show, that's like perfect contact. Yeah. So, I mean, it's going to be a big year for BLowe. Hopefully, the Rays would love to see that, because that would take this lineup to an unbelievable level. It was the second best lineup in the American League last year across the regular season, and that was without a fully fit Brandon Lau for most of it.
Yes.
So if he's fully fit, oh my goodness, watch out. I wish that home run could count towards the Zach Plain total.
I know.
Zach,
so disappointing.
From the RBLR Buck Show, he does a great job over there, by the way. If you want to go check out the Buck Show, listen about some of those buckos. He said there was no way Brandon Lau was going to hit like 25 home runs or whatever it was. And
it was 25. It was 25, and he came up 4 shy. And I mean, when towards the end of the season, if you were watching at the end of last season, he was rolling before he got hurt again. So I mean, that
last 2 weeks. If he had 2 weeks more, it was going to be a close one. I
mean, I was scheduling the barbershop appointment. Yep. And there, hey, Ben Whitelaw agrees. He said contact was so clean on the home run, he didn't even feel it. That's what we love about Brandon Lau. That's what he can do to a baseball. We saw it yesterday. And I've said it for a long time that he is the most dangerous hitter in the lineup, because he can do that. He has the ability. The swing is that clean. He has that power anytime. He's a threat to launch anytime he's up there. If you make a mistake, he will make you pay. We saw it yesterday. We're going to see it all season long. I'm just excited to watch it.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait. He's going to sit out to begin the game against Kikuchi, but I think the moment a right-hander comes in, he's going to pinch hit, and then he'll show you what clutch means. I'm telling you.
Yeah. He could definitely come in for either Mead or Harold. Really, I think they got Mead at second, so that's an easy pinch hit opportunity late in the game for sure, which I think we might see. Before we wrap it up today, we do want to really quick run over some of the injuries. If you're just joining us back from the offseason, just a couple of things. So you may have noticed that Josh Lowe is not in the lineup, and you may have been concerned. And unfortunately, that is because he is dealing with an injury. We haven't really heard much in the way of updates. So I'm kind of going to go with good. No news is good news that he's just continuing with his rehab, and we expect to see him back in a little while. Clearly, the Rays have good options to replace him. Palacios has been pretty good to start the year. He's had some really nice at bats. Curious to see what he does as he gets even more opportunities. And now that they've brought in a guy like, that you could argue potentially that the Dominic Smith is double coverage for potentially Lowe being out longer and for Aranda being out longer, because he could kind of fill a similar role in the lineup to Josh Lowe. Obviously, much less of a quality offensive threat, but he could go play a little bit of outfield if you needed him to. I don't think he's as good an outfielder as Josh Lowe either, but he could fill in there if they needed him to, if Josh Lowe is going to be out for a longer period of time. We have no evidence to believe that, so we kind of think he's just kind of continuing to progress. Same thing with DeLuca. Same thing with the pitchers that have been out, Boz and Bradley. No real updates. Boz has been progressing well through his rehab, and we expect he's on track to get back into like late May, early June, which is what we expect. So those are a couple guys. And again, when you look at the depth of this team, we just talked about like 3 or 4 guys that are like starters on every MLB roster pretty much in the league, and they are on the IL. So when those guys get back, this roster just goes up to another level. It just shows you what a well-constructed roster can do for a team.
Right, exactly. I mean, I just realized there were so many guys injured that I forgot that were injured, like Taj and DeLuca. I was like, oh yeah, DeLuca, Walls, of course, still sitting on the IL. So, and yet here we are with a roster with no dead spots. That's my favorite thing about it. There's no players on the roster that you're like, oh my god, I can't believe he's gonna have to get at bats, or oh no, I can't believe he's gonna have to pitch some innings.
And the one guy that I was like, I don't know about this guy, was Rortvet, who has put up some of the best at bats of anyone on the team to start the season. So I'm like, all right, I just believe in everybody now. Clearly.
Yeah. One roster move that we forgot to mention at the start, I guess, is a bit of housekeeping. We signed Nico Goodrum as well on a minor league deal, who is like, got a lot of positional utility. He's a switch hitter as well, I think. So he can kind of do a little bit of everything. He's not shown to be particularly great at anything, but he can kind of do everything competently. So he's a nice option to have if you need extra fill-in stuff. And he's going to start at AAA, so he's just chilling as a depth piece if needs be, which is like I said, you can never have too much depth.
No, you can never ever have too much depth. And if anyone tells you can have too much depth, they're wrong, and they clearly haven't watched a full MLB season where every bit of depth you have gets tested. I do wonder a little bit about Taylor Walls. This is pure speculation. We haven't heard anything, but the fact that we haven't heard anything does make me like a little bit worried, only because, I mean, the initial noise when he first got hurt was he'll be back for opening day, no problem. And now he's not back for opening day. And we haven't heard anything for a little while now. And signing Nico Goodrum is another one of those guys that kind of fills a similar role. I don't think he's as good he's not as good defensively. He definitely doesn't have as good stats defensively as Walls, but it's a similar archetype. So I do wonder. It's not like super high concern, but it is like I wonder what's going on there.
Yeah, apparently he's got a doctor's visit scheduled for April 1st.
Okay.
And I guess then we'll hear a bit more then if he's going to make any progress. But right now, no news. Which is, I guess, when you don't have a return date set, that's not good news. But we'll probably find out at some point tomorrow, I guess. The only last thing I want to say is the AAA rosters got released. And the other minor league rosters are going to trickle out throughout the next day or two. The only couple of things that really stood out to me was that I guess Carson Williams is going to not start in AAA.
I was surprised by that.
There's you know, I don't think it was a lock that he was going to be in AAA, but I think he had a shot to start in AAA. But he's gonna likely start with Montgomery, and then also Joe Rock, who we acquired in a minor league deal with the Rockies, who was kind of like still working stuff out in the minor leagues. He's starting in AAA, so they're being aggressive with him. So keep an eye out on Joe Rock as well. And you know,
80 great name.
Yeah,
on Joe Rock. 80 great name.
Yeah. Joe Record also there. Emrod, Uketa, Colby White's going to start in AAA, which is lovely to see. Unfortunately, the Bulls dropped their opening day game. Mason Montgomery got lit up a bit by the Orioles.
Yeah, not great.
The Bulls almost pulled a comeback, though.
They did.
Ronnie Simon was good in that game.
Yes.
So, you know, there's stuff happening. And if you've got MLB TV, like me, as an international fan, I believe that now comes with MILB TV. So you can watch any televised Bulls game now as well, which is great.
I'm excited with those minor league rosters dropping that I haven't seen Xavier Isaac's name, because I thought there was a chance he was going to end up in Double A to start the year. But I'm hoping he goes to High A, because the High A Rays team is coming to play a team near B very soon. I'm going to watch a game, so I'm hoping he'll be there for that game. So that's what I'm looking forward to. But I do think that it was interesting seeing Carson Williams in Double A. I kind of expected him to start in Triple A. I'm curious what I would love to know. I would love to be in the Rays org and just see what they're like, what they expect for the timelines for major league, you know, development for these guys are. I would love to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be interesting to see. I guess they have got a bit of a mini AAA log jam on the infield with Basabe and now Goodrum, Ronnie Simon, all kind of middle infielders that you'd probably play in AAA above Carson Williams, I guess, right now, just because of their experience there. But yeah, keep an eye on what Carson Williams eventually. I think you'll see AAA before the season's out. That's for sure. But yeah, I think that's all I've got to say on the minor league rosters at this early stage. I do want to say thank you to everyone that stuck around for our first live show of the season. Yeah. We've done it live, so thank you. But could you do us a big favor? If you've enjoyed what you've seen, could you drop us a like? Could you drop us a follow or a subscribe, depending on where you're viewing the live? If you want to drop us a comment saying if you enjoyed something in particular, or if there's something you want us to talk about next time, or whatever you want, drop us a comment, let us know, and drop us a follow and or a subscribe, or wherever you're watching us. We really do appreciate it. We're excited to spend the 2024 season with you. We're off to a fun start, and I can't wait to see where it goes.
Share us around to someone else, to another Rays fan, to a baseball fan who you know enjoys good baseball talk. Just share it around. We're going to always try to give you the best Rays podcast. I'm never going to succeed for the most part. So we appreciate all of you who stuck around. We're excited to start this new season with you guys. That's our show for this week. Thank you for everyone who watched live. Thank you for all of you who are going to watch us when it's not live. We're really excited for the season coming up. It's going to be an awesome season. Rays are going to win a lot of baseball games. There's going to be a fun baseball game today and a fun series coming up. So it's good stuff.
Yeah, thanks so much. And make sure to drop us a follow at RBLR Rays, and follow us on Twitter as well at RealZachDab and at Depressed Rays, which I will not be when we win later.
We will not. Yes, and we're gonna have a lot of very fun takes all throughout the season. I tweet very sporadically, but when I do, it's gonna be fun.
Alrighty. We'll see you guys next time. And as always, raise up.
Raise up.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.